where it began, right here in these hallowed halls of the International Broadcast Centre. Over the last 2 weeks, nearly 10,000 broadcasters have gathered from around the world. Our mission, not only to cover the Olympic Games, but also to bring to life the stories of these athletes, so that when the heroes of tomorrow are born, the world can bear witness. There is something poetic in what we do, and it's said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Through our satellite signals that cannot be seen and fiber connections that carry light through glass, we hope that we've brought some magic into your lives, pride to your hearts, and joy and laughter into your homes. As I stand here now and look past the camera at our videographer and exec producer, we are collectively so proud of what was accomplished here. But really, it is a big, heartfelt thank you to you, our viewers, for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and all your kind messages and posts. We appreciate them. We're so glad that you've enjoyed our coverage here from Tokyo. We may be many islands, but we are one Caribbean. From these Tokyo Olympic Games, I am Alex Jordan, saying sayonara from Japan.
A bit of a flashback there to the Tokyo Olympics, where there was coverage for the entire Caribbean. And this morning, we're going to chat a little bit about the role and function of the media when it comes to covering the Olympics as we get ready for Paris 2024. To do that, let me welcome via Zoom Kerry Gibbons, who is the head of creative production at Sportsmax, an international broadcaster who we just saw on television there, Alex Jordan. Good morning to you both, and welcome to the Now Morning Show.
Morning.
Morning, Ruckus. Morning.
How are you guys doing this morning? Ready for Paris?
Ben oui, moi je suis prête. I'm real ready, boy. I'm real ready.
Nice.
Excited.
That's what we're talking about. Let me start with you, Kerry, because I know that you've been covering Olympics since Atlanta, and you've been doing several Olympics since then. I'm really curious as to what the role of Sportsmax is as you see it for the on the ground coverage itself.
Well, the role of media, as we know it, is to bring stories to the public, to the audience. When we started coverage for the Caribbean region back in 1996, it was CMC, right? Barbados based organization, and they cover the games for Olympics. So from Atlanta to Sydney to Greece and in Beijing. Back then it was a really small team. Atlanta was like 4 or 5 of us. We went live in Atlanta. We were doing stories and sending them back via playing back tape, and it wasn't digital then, right? Email was that rare dial-up song, or internet, I should say. But what happened is that we grew. I mean, every year the stories, the coverage got a little bigger, got a little better, and evolved. So by the time Sportsmax stepped in, the road was already laid, and we started to build on that. We started to do slightly bigger teams, and we started to be more recognized. Even by the time we got to Sydney, because the thing is, as we know, as a region, the Caribbean, we are, heavyweights per se, when it comes to track and field, especially to athletics. And yeah, so it is very important to tell these stories, and not just what's happening on the track, in the pool, at the various venues, but also what's happening behind the scenes. A lot of people really aren't aware of what takes place on the ground. The tourists, the other journalists, the wonderful stories that we can tell with visitors coming to the different games. So it's extremely important, and we also get to focus mainly right on our region and our Caribbean presence at the games, but we also add that balance where we cover other big stories. We would not let a gold medal or a record-breaking performance not come across our coverage. We add that balance. I'll pause there and hand back over to you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kerry. Now, my next question is actually going to both of you, Kerry and Alex, which is about what goes on behind the scenes. Because one of the things you just mentioned, Kerry, is that we all see what happens in sport, but not necessarily what happens on the ground and behind the scenes. So can you expound on it from a creative perspective, and then Alex, from a broadcasting perspective, what it's like?
So first of all, the Olympics, or the coverage of the Olympics, like any other thing we do in life, it isn't as perfect as you see on the other side of the of the camera. There are things that happen, things go wrong, mistakes are made. But our job as journalists is to not let the viewing audience see that. But outside of what really happens there are really interesting stories. You have the guys who travel from very small territories around the world, and it's like a one camera outfit. So it's like a phone, a mic, a tripod, and everything they're reporting, they directing, just one person. But for their little region, it means a lot to them. There are tourists who've been traveling and go all the games, and they just travel, little backpacks, etc. And you hear this as how they got there, literally plane, trains, and automobiles. I once met some peeps that biked across. I can't remember how many miles when I was in Beijing to get to the Olympics there. So they're very interesting things. Alex and our team, we were amazed, and it was quite funny with Tokyo, with the COVID setup they had there. Everything was touch-free. Everything was touch-free, the toilets, and when you walk in, it opens. I mean, there was a whole joke when we got into the airport in Tokyo. I said, Alex, you need to go to the bathroom right now. She's like, what? I don't need to go to the bathroom. I said, no, you need to go to the bathroom right now. So, I mean, Alex could add to some of those experiences, Alex also almost got us locked up in Tokyo.
Yeah. I knew that was coming. Why did I know that was coming? Gosh, how much time have we got? From regarding your question, from perspective of a broadcaster, so much happens behind the scenes, and I think we should start with what happened in Tokyo. Remember, because it's easy to forget, Trinidad. It's easy to forget that was COVID. It's amazing how the human brain just carries on, right? But when I look back at those videos, I was like, oh gosh, oh yes. And I'm not sure, before the break, you guys had a video on. I don't know if your listeners could hear it. But that was me trying to get to Tokyo, and Kerry Gibbons will be smiling and laughing because he saved me. There's so many procedures that had to take place during COVID that up to the moment we were trying to board our flight, they were like, no, I'm sorry, unless you have this, you can't get on. So you saw pictures there of Kerry and I on the phone to, I don't know who, prime ministers, presidents, God, please, someone get us on this plane. So a lot of panic to get to Tokyo in the context of the pandemic. But from a broadcaster's perspective, there's so many moments in the Olympics. What happens behind the scenes? I remember the 100 meters, for example, Zarnell Hughes, about whom we had particular interest because obviously he's originally a Caribbean man, even though he runs for England now. But Zarnell Hughes false started in that 100 meters, right? Prepared the last 4 years for that moment, for those 10 seconds. He was a favorite. He looked like he was going to be medaling for sure and had the opportunity maybe for a gold. False started. And to watch him walk up the track and come and face the press, that interview I did with Zarnell Hughes after that false start in that 100 meters final was one of the most powerful things that I think I've ever seen. Recognizing the devastation, the disappointment, the feeling of failure within the athlete, yet this man having the grace and the composure to face his public. Many, many magical moments at the Olympics.
And those are the kind of moments that we wouldn't really get to see on air, but you definitely be able to experience it on the ground. One of the things that I'm also curious about is, I mean, how does it feel to have the opposition in the prime mix zone, and B, what is the relationship like with the thousands of other media outlets that are there on the ground, all vying for that interview, all vying for that moment, to capture the moment as best as they can to send it back to their regions?
Such a good question. Such a good question. I have to big up Kerry Gibbons and Sportsmax, who got us such an incredible position on the track last year, right? First row of the track. So the international media, you got the big guys, you got the NBCs, Channel 7, the Australia, and Sportsmax, right? Right there up front and personal.
Nice.
And the big broadcasters I found were so kind. You know, their budget's big. So they offered me drinks from their fridge. They have fancy umbrellas. I made so many friends in that mix zone there at the Olympics. Rona McLeod, the woman next to me, track and fields, for example, was not my expertise going to that Olympics. So I was quite nervous to be the broadcaster there on the ground. And the woman beside me was working for Olympics TV. And she was a Scottish woman called Rona McLeod. And, you know, the one or two things I had questions for, she was right there beside me to help me out. We became lifelong friends. We're looking forward to seeing each other in Tokyo. And at the same moment, what happened was, because the West Indians were the stars, right? The Jamaicans, the Trinis, like, we were starring up the place. She would be elbowing me, hey, get me that interview. Yeah, listen, calling people back now. Give me a little something. So it really is a relationship of everybody wanting to get the story, everybody helping. I don't know if that's your experience, Gary.
Yeah, it's always been like that. You know, we really moved ahead in terms of our broadcast setup. You know, we evolved. We started in the mix zone, you know, downstairs in the tunnel. But even when we were down in the tunnel back in the day, everyone would be like gathered around us. Because I remember that year when you seen First One and broke those records in Beijing, you know. From day one, you know, he would walk past and come straight to us. You know, I remember Lance with the canai with him, and he would come straight to us, you know. And when after like day 2 of track and field of the heats, all of a sudden everyone is like gathering around us, right? And down there normally you kind of get early there and you get your spot down in the tunnel down there. But after day 2, when it comes like, yeah, Caribbean, look at spot here. And, you know, it was like all around, there was space, and then there's this one empty spot for us. I'm just walking out of the camera there, you know, and they would all come and gather. But it's real, it's comrade, it's tough, it's hustle and bustle. Those days, I mean, I was still shooting. I still shoot now, which I love, you know. But yeah, so, you know, you go there, and as Alex said, right, as a broadcast rights holder, you have certain allotments, etc. So we actually did a piece. One of the pieces Alex did in Tokyo, we counted it. We said, okay, so NBC, OBS, but it was 1, 2, 3, I think we were like 6 or 7 spot or 5th or 6th spot on that run, right in the front row. And then you look back and realize they're like 40 rows behind you. And the Caribbean, right, our little Caribbean is on the front row, like 4 slots down from NBC, you know, so...
Nice.
We're basically the VIPs of the Olympics.
But yeah, and I imagine it would be in relation to, based on how our athletes perform and how our athletes treat our local media as well, and the Caribbean media as well. So we definitely give thanks for that sort of partnership. But Alex and Kerry, I want you to get into a little bit of the importance of the team that stays back in Jamaica to do the coverage. Tell me about the importance of that team and the role that they play.
Well,
you know, sorry, Gary.
Go ahead. No, you go first.
I was going to say that a broadcast is as strong, right, as weak its link. You heard Kerry there mention that he also shoots.
Yeah.
Kerry is, you know, director, producer, shooter. Incredibly talented eye. We don't get him shooting enough these days. I think even if, you know, he had a little more, like, I don't know, love the camera, he could come out in front of the camera. He's got all the skill sets. On the ground in Tokyo, we also had a man called Jason Beans Sawyers. He was the shooter. He's important to mention. So, you know, the beautiful images, they create the story in itself, and they make it so much easier for the presenter then to paint the picture behind the scenes. But you see the team in Jamaica, are lifeline. They are doing a lot of the work, a lot of the research. Of course, the broadcast is so incredibly layered, isn't it? You have people from around the region move to Jamaica, camp up for the weeks of the Olympics. And we have an extraordinary team in Jamaica who keep us informed, and obviously Kerry and all the technical terms will be able to tell you what they're doing, how they're magicking us into your homes every evening live from these various parts around the world.
Yeah, Kerry, you want to jump in on that one quickly?
Yeah, just quickly. So the team in Jamaica, that's our base there. That's main studios, and they really carry the broadcast. We add the fluff and the sugar and stuff on it, but they carry the broadcast. All of our live production stuff comes from there. We have in excess of 100 individuals mixed with. So it's our internal team, but obviously we have a lot of interns that we bring in, which is also a big deal for Sportsmax, because a lot of these interns that have started with us, continue with broadcasting either with Sportsmax or other companies around the region. So we bring in a lot of interns to work with us. So the team is over 100 strong. The shift is 24 hours, right? We have 3 8-hour shifts because the Olympics, especially the games that you find, 6-7 hours difference. It's a big deal, and we have it works between the live blocks, and then we have what we call we have the highlight show, right? And then we have our continuity blocks. The continuity blocks are like, when we have other sports happening that are outside of the main Caribbean sports, that we cover, we have coverage for that as well. And it's segue and then also we have to remember that we are broadcasting to a region of different, like one island may have somebody doing boxing, and maybe there's one boxer in the region, somebody doing, badminton. But so it's not all about track and field and swimming.
Of course.
Right? And what's important is the fact that we bring together, no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it sounds like a very layered approach that has to be taken when it comes to the covering of the Olympics. But unfortunately, guys, we are out of time for this morning's conversation. But I hope that we can have some more conversation as we get ready for Paris. Go ahead, Alex.
I just want to say to your younger listeners who might just be blasé about this kind of thing, that was why Sportsmax was created. It's such an important thing for us to show us ourselves. There were many years when we watched the Olympics and we can't even see our athletes, even if they come first. So just so delighted that in the region we have Sportsmax there to bring our people our own stories. And
we are quite happy to have TTT as our broadcast partner in Trinidad and Tobago this year. It's something that's never been done, and it's very important to us to make it work. And Sachin is part of our team in Jamaica.
Yes, man. We have Sachin definitely heading across to Jamaica in a bit. So we thank you guys so much for partnering with us here at TTT, and we look forward to your coverage of Paris 2024.
Take care. Bye. Morning, guys.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Alex Jordan, international broadcaster, and Kerry Gibbons, head of creative production at Sportsmax, just sharing a little bit of insight into what it takes to cover the Olympics as they get ready for Paris 2024. Take a quick break. We come back with more. Stay tuned.